What's up? It's Film Frenzy, and I'm back from seeing Venom in theaters, and I'm here to review this Marvel Sony anti-hero film starring Tom Hardy as the title role. So let's get into my first category, direction and visuals. I'm gonna say it right now to get out of the way. I actually do like Venom. And look, they gave me this complimentary comic book, I guess maybe for seeing it Thursday night. Pretty cool. So, anyway, I'm going to talk about direction visuals here, and you'll hear me say this a lot, but it's a bit of a mixed bag. So, in one aspect, it suffers from the really dark and, not bright colors aspect of the DC universe, Batman v Superman, as you see here, but it also has some really nice shots, like superhero movies like Logan, Doctor Strange, and it's just very mixed. Like, for example, the final battle, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's just a big fire explosion, it's dark, it's very generic, but then there's some certain fight scenes, like the one with Venom and some of the Life Foundation henchmen in his apartment, and it's just a great hand-to-hand combat scene. I love those. Kind of remind me of Winter Soldier-esque type action. Just really love those intimate fights. And then there's also just some really just nice shots, funny shots, and I love the visuals with Venom, the symbiote. I thought those really good effects, and the motorcycle chase sequence was really nice too. But then other times it's just very dark, the whole film, and it just has poor color palette, and sometimes it has a great color palette. So it's definitely better than DC films for visuals, but it's still not as good as something like Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'll give it a 4 out of 5 for this category. The next category to discuss is acting and character development. So, with acting and character development, I think it was a really nice cast, and the acting was very good. Tom Hardy really carried the movie. I know it's gotten very polarizing reviews in terms of his performance. Some love it, some hate it. I'm on the love it side. I think he really brings a lot to the movie, and he's kind of the main reason the movie really works. There's a lot of depth to the character of Eddie Brock, and I think they did a great job of that compared to something like Spider-Man 3. That was just terrible. This is a lot better. There's a lot of depth to his character. I think he's very funny, and everybody was thinking, oh, in the trailer, oh, he's just gonna be stuttering, kind of uncomfortable the entire time. But he doesn't overdo it. It's kind of understated. He's a very believable character, and he portrays all the crazy heights that Venom takes him to well, and just the kind of regular man also. Very likable, even in times when he's bad, and he's doing bad things. So just a great anti-hero, but he's very relatable, and I think that's something great. So Eddie Brock as a character, great character development. Another thing I want to discuss is Michelle Williams. I think she was underused a little bit during lots of the movie. Sometimes she was used better, but I hope in the sequel, if there is a sequel, she gets more run screen time, because she was a great character. She was really great. I mean, Michelle Williams is an amazing actress. Look at Manchester by the Sea. She's nominated for an Oscar for that. So yeah, they underused her a little bit, but her character did have some nice scenes and really good dialogue. I'll talk about that later. But with Tom Hardy, the character of Dan, who's Michelle Williams' new boyfriend, he was kind of a funny character, although I want his arc to be completed a little bit more. And then the villain, Riz Ahmed, I think he played him very well. Riz Ahmed's a great actor, but that was a very generic villain. It was kind of a thing, I feel lots of the film does this a lot, where they don't explain things in enough detail. So the villain is kind of oh, we're not going to have the stupid, villain for money, but we're going to have the villain who thinks he's really bettering the world. And I think that's a good thing. It's a more deeper and understandable villain. But they never really explained it. He was just very generic, and he's going to be a villain that's forgotten in about a week. So I think that's a big problem. And then finally, I want to talk about Venom, the actual symbiote. I think that's really awesome that they made him his own character. It's really cool how it's the voices in the head, the schizophrenia thing, and I thought it was really cool. So yeah, he was just a great character. He kind of had this funny, dark humor about him. And I really like the character development. I'm gonna go into spoilers here. When there's no more spoiler bar at the bottom of the screen, that means there's no more spoilers. So anyway, I think that the problem a little bit with the Venom character was that he changes his mind about humanity being good way too quickly. It's very it should be more gradual. I thought it was kind of sudden, and movies do that a lot. It's great to have character development, and it's better than none, but it should be smooth character development, not just all of a sudden. And they could have definitely done that a little bit better, more detail. Same with having Riz Ahmed's villain in more detail. So yeah, overall, I think character development was not bad. 3 out of 5. There are some big drawbacks in this category, but overall it's saved by Tom Hardy's awesome performance and some other very good characters. My final category before I reveal the overall score consists of the story elements, plot pacing, script, and theme. This is the big category, the make or break. So let's get started with plot. So Venom's plot is very typical of the 3-act superhero movie. I love the exposition. I kind of miss these old-fashioned origin stories a little bit. I'm a sucker for them, I have to admit. And I think they do a great job. The first act is amazing. And if they kept it like that the entire film, I would really, really like this movie. It would probably be one of my favorite superhero movies of the year. Sadly, that's not the case. But it doesn't get that bad. So the plot is kind of like basically a simple like origin story, and he gains his powers in like the end of the first act in this inciting incident. There's a lot of time actually without the powers, it's kind of cool how they're telling a dual story of learning who Eddie Brock is, and then also separately learning what the symbiote is in terms of like the Life Foundation and how the stories intersect. I think that was very cleverly done, really well edited, that part of the film. And then it goes into like kind of like as he like adapts to having Venom and like learns like, and he develops this relationship, and they kind of like work together in a symbiotic relationship, no pun intended. And then they have to fight Riz Ahmed, who's the bad guy, of course, the villain, and it kind of ends in a simple, big third act explosion way, and it was kind of very strange. I'll get more into this with the pacing, but the ending was kind of like unanticipated and just left me very confused, to say the least. So that brings me to pacing. And first act, great pacing. Second act, pretty solid pacing. This movie feels really fast. Like, it goes by quickly. There's never a moment where it lags, which is very good. I feel like the second act is a very solid one. Like, the pacing, there's a couple weird moments. Also, I would say, I guess, in the first act, a little bit of weird pacing in terms of just like jumping between scenes. And like I said before, even though I love the dual like symbiote and Eddie Brock, like learning about them, sometimes the editing is a little strange how it jumps back. And there was like, but the main editing problem and the pacing came at the end of the film. Like, so like it just has this big battle, right? I felt like it was kind of a little bit too early to have a big battle, in my opinion. I would like some more like, character development fleshed out, like previously mentioned. And then it just all of a sudden you go to this like post big fight, and Eddie Brock having a conversation with Anne, who's played by Michelle Williams, and it was just very strange. It kind of was like all of a sudden just startled me, because like you're having all these dark color schemes that I mentioned earlier that I didn't really like, and then it's like bright daylight, and the contrast really didn't work in my opinion. It's a really crummy third act. Unfortunately, that's a problem with lots of these superhero movies. This one suffers from it greatly, both on plot and a pacing aspects. And here's a little bit more spoilers. Same thing with the spoiler bar. So it was really weird how they reintroduce like Venom. Like Venom's gonna come back even though it just died, and then all of a sudden like it's just there again. Like it wasn't really clever at all, and it felt like it was just kind of rushed in there. Like the editors took a break, and he just edited the first 2 acts, and he was like, I'll just put some like transitions down. We'll call it a day. That's kind of what it felt like with the third act, and it was very startling. And spoilers done. Then the very end of the movie, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but it was just really weird how it just kind of all of a sudden ended. Like, it didn't feel like it was going to end, and then all of a sudden, the Eminem song comes on, which I love, by the way, and I was like, oh, the movie's over? Like, I thought there was going to be a little bit more, like, I don't know. It just felt like the resolution should have been a little bit better. I know they're trying to go for a clever ending, but it was just kind of strange. And then there's, like, a mid-credit scene, I guess you'd call it, and it kind of felt like a cheesy, like, try to cheesy cliffhanger for the next film, but it wasn't that great, even though it was kind of cool for, like, big comic book fans. In terms of the script, I thought the dialogue was actually really good. I know lots of people have been criticizing the tone, but I find that the mix between comedy and action is actually very good. The only problem with the tone, in my opinion, is that sometimes it gets in this really creepy horror tone, which I thought was legitimately scary. I like that a lot, but then it just transitions into like an action comedy, which is cool also, but I think you have to better like grasp on tone a little bit. Like, it's cool to have a horror comedy, but it was just kind of a little bit all over the place occasionally. I wish the horror aspects were a little bit more spread out. The script, the dialogue, I thought the drama was done very good. I would have wanted a little bit more and to be a little bit more consistent. But overall, the dialogue was very believable. I thought the actors did a great job at like explaining it. Like I said earlier, some of the conversations between Anne and Eddie were great. The humor, almost all the jokes I thought were really funny. There is that weird turd in the wind line that was in the trailer that had everybody scratching their heads, including me. It was really weird in the film. Should not be in there. I don't know what they were thinking. There's some lines that are just like kind of randomly repeated and just felt kind of strange. But overall, the script I thought was not bad at all. And then finally, for theme, I thought they were setting a great theme up in the first act of the film with how Eddie needs to like take responsibility for his actions. He can't just blame Carlton Drake for getting fired in the first act of the film and stuff like that, and some other bad things that happen in his life I won't spoil. I thought they were going to develop that, and they were going to be like, oh yeah, he should take responsibility for the chaos that Venom causes, and he can't just blame it on the symbiote. I thought that'd be a really brilliant theme. I was like, oh, this is setting up something really nice. And then they kind of just left me hanging. I don't like when films leave me hanging. That was not cool at all. So there wasn't really much semblance of a theme by the third act. It became very sloppy, like I previously mentioned. So that makes me give this category of story elements a 3 out of 5 again. Final score. Okay, this film has mixed bag for visuals, a decent plot that has bad third act, some decent pacing that gets super screwed up with the editing, a script that is actually very, very good, a theme that looked like it was going to be there, but then it wasn't, and then some great acting by Tom Hardy and a great lead character, and then some underdeveloped characters. So what does that mean? That means a score of 3.25 out of 5. Yes, I like Venom. I think you should see it in theaters. Decide for yourself. Don't let that 27% on Rotten Tomatoes turn you away, because this is a very good movie. It's very different than all these MCU movies coming out, and I'm glad it exists. I want to know your opinions about Venom down in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more awesome film videos from Film Frenzy coming soon. See you guys later. Bye.